Hi, my name is Liam with the Holyoke Tarot, and today we're going to be doing a general pick a card reading, just for whoever it lands with. In the thumbnail, there is a picture of the decks and these little tokens on top of them, so you can pick based off of that, or you can listen to the whole thing and pick whatever resonates with you the most. So we have this deck that is the branch. This is just a classic Rider-Waite deck. I don't know what the name of it is because I acquired it from someone I know. This sea glass is this deck. This is the Modern Witch Tarot deck. And then this little piece of wood of a carving I made is the True Heart Tarot deck. All right, let's get started. We're starting with the branch. This is just a cool looking branch I picked up at the park near my house. Can I get a general reading for the collective? Can I get a general reading for whoever you have a message for from the collective? And I would say in general, I read cards based on the energy of the deck and the way they feel to me in the moment. It might not necessarily be the quote unquote agreed upon definition of whatever the card is. So that's my little caveat for that. We've got 3 cards popped up here. Oh, and I also don't read reversals. Let's see if we have any more. One more. Okay. Any more messages? Any more insight for the collective? Okay. So we have the King of Cups. We have the 9 of Pentacles, the 3 of Swords, and I'm doing a very bad job of putting this in the camera, the Star card. So with our King of Cups here, you are in a pretty settled position, comfortable. You feel at ease in the spaces that you're in. You feel like there's a certain flow, there's a certain congruence to your daily life, to the way that you operate. And there is this there's a way you here, let's see, how do I want to put this? You are frequently in the midst of chaos, and you are steady in the midst of that chaos, in the tumultuous seas. His throne is just in the sea. You are steady. And I think what the rest of these cards are showing, and we'll go through all of them, but I think that you are comfortable in this place. You're comfortable in the midst of chaos. You're comfortable as the steadiness in the chaos, but you don't have to be surrounded by chaos. With this Nine of Pentacles, I just love this card. It's like the fruits of your labor. It's you've been through a lot, and you're at a place where you you're enjoying all the work you've put into something. And there's like a patience here, there's a steadiness here, there's a you feel very sure of who you are, which is also this King of Cups card, right? There's a rocky sea, and you are steady. I think both of these cards are showing that. And I think I think more so maybe it's that in the midst of this I'm struggling a little bit. You are you're steady in your knowing, you're steady in your knowledge of yourself. And at times there's this doubt, there is this heartbreak, there is this for me, this card frequently means like bringing someone I like always says, bringing your head to a heart party. So I think, what I want to say about this to the person who this is for is that you've got a lot of things figured out, and you are the person some people rely on and can come to, but you don't always have to be that person. And also, you can open yourself to feeling. You can open yourself to tending to not only this very like mental, I've got it figured out energy, but also to this more flowy, like in the body, in the garden energy. And I think the Star card too, especially lately when I've been seeing it, speaks to tending it all, right? She's watering the stream and the ground. She's tending to all of these parts of her, and maybe parts that you have let parts of you that you've let go because you've had to be the steady one in the eye of the storm. I also want to pull just a little. I like this Crow Tarot deck as a little signs and symbols is usually what I use it for. So let's see if there's any signs and symbols for this reading. And this could just be like synchronicities to look out for, baby. There's a sign or symbol to look out for. Here we go. Okay, so this is the Eight of Wands, but that's not super relevant here. What I see here, is this pine tree. This pine tree, these sunflowers, reverse is tricking me. And these roses. They could also be poppies. Actually, they look more like poppies. And then it kind of seems like there's some swirly wind in the background. So yeah, look out for these things. So I think that could mean spending some time in the sun, wearing the color yellow or the color red, and smelling some nice pine things. All right. Cool. All right, let's move to the next. So, next we will do this Modern Witch deck. So that's this piece of sea glass. What message do you have for the collective? What message do we have for the collective? What message do we have for the collective? Alright, let's just try and do one at a time. What message do we have for the collective? What message do we have for the collective? Okay, what message do we have for the collective? Let's try and get a couple more cards out. I usually like to let the cards pop out. That one flew out of there. I know some people have different methods of how they read. I wouldn't say I'm new to reading in general, but I'm new to making YouTube videos, obviously. Okay, let's go with 4. That's what we did last time. Okay, so here we have the 10 of Pentacles. Jeez, I'm struggling to figure that out. The 2 of Cups, the 8 of Pentacles. This deck's cool. And the Hierophant. Okay. So we got some earth energy here. This is 10 of Pentacles. Definitely looks like a queer couple to me, which is cool. And some pets and a baby, a child. interacting with those dogs. Let's see. We got the Two of Cups, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Hierophant. The Hierophant is definitely like either the beginning of a spiritual journey or pursuing a spiritual journey of some kind, becoming a spiritual teacher or finding a spiritual teacher. This Eight of Pentacles. I haven't worked with this deck a lot, and I'm finding it a little bit tricky to dive in. What are you trying to say here, cards? I'm feeling like with this Ten of Pentacles, like there's some sort of discussion going on, right? And with the elderly, the older woman in the corner, it's making me feel like there's like a discussion of care. So that could be something that's happening for you. That's what's calling to me in this card in this moment. Like I said, I'm reading the cards. I don't necessarily follow the like exact definitions of everything at all times. And yeah, she's caring for these dogs. There looks like there's some discussion there of like, how are we going to proceed, you know? Definitely feels very family oriented. So you could be having some sort of family discussions about caring for aging parents. There could also be some family discussions about having more children or having children in general. That's what's coming out to me in that card. This Two of Cups. Two of Cups is feeling like an exchange of ideas, being open to other people's perspectives, being open to, seeing the world through someone else's eyes. I think it also is, it's very much exchanging ideas. I think a lot of this, maybe this could be struggling to be heard, wanting to communicate your needs, and finding that difficult, or wanting to show up online, or wanting to show up in your community in a different way, and struggling to speak to that. It doesn't necessarily have to be this like, heavy struggle. It could just be like, this is something that I'm thinking about that's kind of holding me back a little bit. I also think with this Eight of Pentacles, she's in her room, she's studying. There's a sweet view out the window, and it feels definitely like like work, but also working for yourself and honing your craft. So yeah, maybe actually this is like some discussions about wanting to pursue a career or a life change as someone in the spiritual space, or someone who's working for themselves, someone who's a leader in their own field. And you're having to like, maybe there's a little bit of maybe there's a little bit of convincing going on. Maybe there's a little bit of like, you need to have these discussions with your family. You need to be in communication with other people, exchanging ideas, and you need to be doing the work. You need to be honing your craft. And it could be, I think that it doesn't necessarily have to be in a specific spiritual space of any kind. It could just be that you are approaching it with your spiritual knowledge, with your knowledge of divination, with your knowledge of spell crafting, with your knowledge of manifestation. You could be pursuing this career change, pursuing this life change with a thread of spirituality. Took us a minute to get there on that one. Okay, let's see. Let's do. Should I do one of these? No, let's just do the same crow deck. Signs and symbols for you that might pop up for you. In the coming few days. Oh, there's a card that is the wrong direction. Can we get some signs and symbols for who this reading pertains to? Oh, for those who this reading pertains to. Well, pop right out of there. Okay, cool. This is the Ten of Cups, which is a great card. And I think the thing that's really coming out to me is rainbows. So maybe look for rainbows. Or there's these really cool like flower garlands up at the top. There's more poppies in this one, and loads of birds, different kinds of crows, and then there's some birds up at the top. So I think pay attention to listen for the birds. I'm not quite sure where you live if there are birds that have migrated back through the winter. But listen for the return of the bird song after the winter. That's the message there. Okay, cool. All right. So let's move on to this last one for today. This is a little chunk of wood, half of spoon I made from some redwood, and I had to drill this off because I couldn't carve it off. Not drill, cut it off with a Dremel. And it's very funky and I like it. Okay. What messages do you have for the collective? What message do you have for those tuning in? What messages do you have for the collective? How did that happen? What messages do you have for those tuning in? Yeah, and like I said, I don't read reversals. There's a lot of cards here, and I tend to say, or let's put it this way, I have decided that there is a card that symbolizes the reverse of something, if that's what you want it to be, if that's what the message that's trying to come across. So that's my take on that. But a lot of people are different, and that's okay. Everybody's a little bit different. That is what makes it beautiful to be alive. Alright, give me a couple more cards here. Wherever you are, that you are finding ways to be creative. And you're finding ways be in devotion to something you love, like maybe a craft you're into, or maybe writing, or making pottery, whatever the thing is. I hope you're finding time in your day to create and to devote yourself to something you love. Let's get a few more cards here. This one. Let's see if we can get one more. So we can do 4 cards for each of these. It's popped out. One more. Might just be getting 3. Let's see. Sometimes if you get a little crazier. I appreciate you whoever's watching this. It's my first YouTube video. And 2 cards. Okay, we'll go with those. Okay. So the first card we have here is Justice. I'll get the hang of that someday. Justice. The 4 of Wands. 5 of Cups. King of Discs. And the World. Why? That is so trippy for my brain to figure out for some reason. So, Justice. I think there is a very loud desire, a loud push for there to be justice served to all sorts of individuals at the moment. Rightly so. On a more personal level, your sense of justice, your sense of right and wrong, your sense of what things you tolerate, let's see here. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Your sense of justice comes from within, obviously, and or maybe not obviously. I think there's a sense of like wanting to right all the wrongs in the world, and then a powerlessness at the realization that, you know, you and me, we're just people. Like, we can't right all the wrongs in the world, and we can't okay. What I want to say is that you have to take responsibility for the things in your sphere that you can take responsibility for, and you have to speak up for injustice in your community. And that's that's the thing you can have an impact on, is the people around you. You can have conversations with people around you who may think differently than you, and that's where you can have this this feeling of wanting there to be justice needs to be local, right? If that makes any sense. Um, it can be really disheartening to look at the things going on. It can be really disheartening to be aware of the news cycle, especially in the United States, and not especially, but that's where I'm at physically. And it's if you're too focused on what everyone else is doing and what things should be done to X, Y, and Z person, it's distracting you from becoming the person you want to be. It's distracting you from stepping into your power. This like fixation with justice, with justice needing to be served, and that, I think that it's taking you away. It's taking you away from these other things, right? Um, yeah. So next we have the Four of Wands, which is celebration, love, coming together, a renewal of a relationship, a beginning of a relationship, celebrating wins, and yeah. Um, hmm. I think that what I want to say here, we have this Justice card, we have the Five of Cups. The Five of Cups is really about, for me in this deck, is about betrayal, is about disillusionment. It's about focusing on all the things that are going wrong, right? And I don't think we move through those things by ignoring them. We move through those things by going through them. You know, you don't go over them, you don't go around them. You need to go through these hard things, accept them as where you're at, and then you can move past them. But ultimately, it's about this acceptance, you know. This one's kind of coming through in a bit of a strange way. I feeling myself being hesitant here about like how to say what's coming through here. There feels like there's a level of like intensity and fear, and a level of there's just like some tightness of like, it just feels like whoever this is for, like, you're really going through it, and I don't think it's not gonna this feeling isn't gonna last forever, and I think the purpose or maybe the benefit of of following a spiritual path is not that you never experience hard things. It's that you get better at moving through the hard things and recognizing that if you let these emotions, if you let these hard things flow through you, that, you know, like the more resistance you put to something, the longer it's going to last and the harder it's going to become. And the more you build it up into this thing, it just becomes more and more difficult, you know? And so I think what this cups energy is telling us, these spilled cups, is that it is hard. It is feeling impossible at this moment. But the more you can lean into flow, the more you can lean into just letting these things flow through you, crying, being in the bathtub, and letting it out, releasing it, instead of shaming yourself for feeling this way or having guilt for feeling this way, or, you know, whatever the thing is. Like, there needs to be a release here. And with that release can come the rest of this energy, this Wands energy, the King of Discs. With the Wands, it's a celebration. It's a celebration of life and love. And maybe the way to flow through these things is to lean into love. Lean on the people around you, lean on the people you love, and allow them to help carry you. And then we move into this King of Discs energy, and he's on his throne. He's in his body. He's present with the nature of the world. He's present in his power, in his surety of how powerful he is, and of how impactful he can be when he is in the seat of his power, which is connected to the earth with the discs. Your power is connected to being in tune with the land that you're on and being in tune to the life around you. And the world emphasizes that, you know. The world we are on is literally the planet Earth. And for you, being in tune with that is how you can move through these really dense, heavy feelings. Okay, I think we got there. Thank you for going along for the ride with me. Oh wait, let's see if there is a symbols to look out for. And we will go from there. Two cards flew out of here. These two cards flew out as symbols. So we got a lot of rocks right here, some water, some feathers, a crown. Yeah. We'll see if any of those symbols resonate with any of you. And cool. So yeah, thank you for watching this reading. And if you have any questions, concerns, want me to do a sort of specific reading, like I could do a love one or career or just general, Anyway, hope you have a lovely day.